Okay. So I don't know if I'm going to release this, but this is more like a mental voice note slash journal that I have just for my record. And, you know, a lot like what what I don't like about a lot of the misconception, and it's not that I dwell on it or like I focus on it, but sometimes things just come to your attention and you just need to like, okay, like vent. But the issue is a lot of people will be throwing out projections and be like, oh, you don't love what you do, you're not passionate about what you do, and you know, you just throw everything aside, you just punted, your career, your artistry, and that's absolute bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. A part of what happened to me was, and this goes back to before I even moved to the greater Los Angeles area. I I'm going to get into the woo woo and I'm going to talk spiritually, metaphysically. Um but I'm going to give, an analogy. I'm going to give several analogies. When you have purpose and when you have insight into what it is that you love and what want to do, usually that's something that's sparked from a very young age. But what happens when the spark is completely stomped out? What happens when the spark is completely, you know, fumigated, put out, whatever, fire extinguisher, the fire within inside of you? What happens when your soul contract and your records and who you are as a person, you're locked out of them? And this is an analogy that I have to give because this is how I see it as far as what I've experienced. A lot of people say, oh my gosh, you have so many talents and so many things that you can do, but you're not doing anything with them. No, my experience has been, I was locked out of my own soul purpose. I was locked out of my own spiritual record. And it was done in a very sophisticated way through metaphysics. But to simplify it, when you take somebody, whether it's a young child, a teenager, an adolescent, even a grown adult, and you see that they have found something that really opens up their spirit, and usually that's tied to their destiny. A lot of the times, and I'm not talking about my parents, but I'm using this as an analogy. But a lot of the times, sometimes kids can be interested in things, that are completely out of touch with what the parents would want. Once again, not talking about my parents, just talking and using an analogy. And sometimes the parents would encourage the child to go in a completely different direction. Well, when I was a young child, there were certain things that sparked my interest. But because of contracts that were made without my consent, spiritually, and probably physically too, now that I'm thinking about it, but contracts that were made without my consent, without my knowledge, without my soul signature, um, locked me out of the experience of being able to do what I love, which is create. Now you pair that with obstacles and um, energetic frequencies that want to have you in, I guess you would say, a cycle, or have you in some sort of, it could have you in some sort of timeline or narrative that doesn't belong to you. And these things are real. This is something that really did happen to me spiritually without my knowledge. And it was like somebody had put the fire out in me. And I don't know when it happened, but they they put the fire out. They locked me out of my soul. They locked me out of my personal spiritual record. And then it's like they just put me in a whole nother time or a whole nother reality that didn't belong to me. Like I'm supposed to be doing different things, but they removed that. And and when that happens, you have a feeling of, thank you, Archangel Gabriel. When that happens, it breeds a feeling of nothingness, a feeling of being, not having a purpose. Like I don't know, I don't feel anything. I can't connect with that. In my experience that I've gone through, I had to go through so many spiritual attacks in order to break a barrier in my energetic centers and in my soul, in order for me to experience the floodgates of my creativity. And the best way I can describe it is, it's like, I don't know what the term is, but if you've ever seen a comic book or a comic book franchise, it's like when somebody keeps getting attacked or hit, and it even produces, I've seen like this happen like on X-Men with like Wolverine. He'll get cut, or he'll get bruised, or he'll get, even, something will happen to him that would penetrate his barrier as a human and should be drawing blood and leaving permanent marks. And it will draw blood and it will leave marks on him, but his body rejuvenates and heals itself. And it's like, yes, you're wounded. Yes, it got you down, but your skin and your body and the tissue and everything else is rejuvenating and it's healing itself. And it's like it never happened. You know it happened consciously. You saw it. You experienced the wound. You were in the combat. You saw how it affected you. And it even affects, you know, your perspective on things. But it didn't it didn't harm you to the point where you're completely debilitated, right? And so that's kind of how I see what happened to me. I had to take so many hits from God's perspective in the spirit in order to open up these barriers that were keeping me out of my soul contract. I had no clue and no idea that I was able to even do all of the things that I was doing because I was locked out of my talents spiritually for so long. I didn't know what was in me. The things that I'm able to do, I should have been doing them 10, 15 years ago. I didn't have it in me 10 or 15 years ago because there was something that was happening, alchemically, without my knowledge, without my consent. So you go through all of those attacks, and what the attacks end up doing is rejuvenating you and like birthing you into what you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to move. And that was never supposed to happen. So because that happened, phase two of whatever this diabolical, mindset, consciousness was, with certain ones in my family, they had to resort to defamation. They had to resort to close watching and invasion of privacy. They had to resort to a lot of different things. And with the invasion of privacy part, the thing that hurt my feelings is once I was able to tap into my higher self and really be able to hear and receive downloads of creativity that I could produce, I started to feel like something is going on with my art, something's going on with my creativity, and I started to suspect things. And with that, it was exhausting because it was like I really do love what I'm doing. I really do love creating. And for the first time in a long time, I feel alive. And only for, my artwork to be sold, fraudulently to someone else, or only for my artwork to be, someone trying to, you know, put it underneath their own name and pass it off as if it's theirs. And it's like, that's not the case. You know, I'm flattered, but if you wanted my artwork or if you wanted something that I produced, then you would have to compensate for that. You can't just take that and say, oh, I'm passing this on as my own because this person will never know. Well, that's not how things go. That's not how things work. And so it made me, in my head, the logical thing to do. I said, I can't continue to create like this. Everything that I do, everything that I'm interested in, everything that I listen to, everything that I'm in tuned with that serves my highest good, um, is being refabricated or regurgitated as, something completely, it's being regurgitated as if it's not even my own, as if I didn't originally create these things. And so I was fearful because I was like, how do I defend myself in this situation? What do I do? Because I have tapped in for the first time to my passions. I've tapped into that. I've tapped into something I love, and now I can't even do anything about it. I can't even um create like how I would love to create because of the simple fact that my artwork is not even being, I can't even say it's being referenced. It just was being flat out stolen. And I was shocked by that. Like, yo, like, I'm not doing nothing to you. I'm not bothering you. I'm not messing with you. You're, you know, older than me and you knew me since I was a child. I'm not messing with you. What is going on here? And for that to happen, it was just like, wow, like I finally tap into what I love and what my soul purpose is, and it's like now it's like I have to protect it, and it puts me in a position where I don't even, I'm afraid to create because I'm afraid that what I create is going to be taken, and I'm not going to be able to get any credit for it, or I'm not going to be able to get compensated for it, which compensation would help me a lot because not only would it be able to change things in my personal situation for what I actually did work on and put the work in on, but it would also motivate me to, it would also, actually restore deep faith at that time with like, wow, I can actually do this. Like, wow, this is actually like cool. This is worth something. I think the misconception that a lot of people had is that I was just sitting on my gifts. But the truth is, I was locked out of my gifts spiritually. I was not able to get into my soul record. I was locked out of my gifts. I was locked out of my destiny. And those attacks literally opened up the floodgates. And I was able to reconnect with myself. And yeah, there was some slander and defamation that went out there and a whole narrative that was going out there about me, but I don't care about that. The thing that hurt me was the fact that I finally am connected. I finally feel like, oh my gosh, this is purpose. And only for it to be taken and be like, no, this is not for you, or no, anything that you do, because you're underneath like a watchful eye or whatever, it's going to be taken, it's going to be refabricated, it's just going to be taken, and someone else is going to get credit because I took it and I sold it. And it's like, what? It's like, why would you do that? Like, what's going on with you? And with my financial situation, and then on top of that, different opportunities that I'm hearing, through the grapevine that I've had or I didn't have. I don't know anything about them because I had I don't know who all my family included or what all they did, but I think they hacked my email, or either they created a different email and pushed it off as if it was mine. I've recently seen some weird activity where an old Instagram account has popped back up for me now, and I'm like, yo, I haven't been on that Instagram account forever because I was being harassed on there. But it's like they hacked my email or something, or they changed my email, so whatever business opportunities that I had or I was going to have, I never received any of them. I never received phone calls, emails, communication. And recently, I just changed my phone number like today, and um, I've had the same phone number for like the last, I think, 8 months. So, and my phone number changed today because I changed companies, but I hadn't had the same phone number in like 8 months. And I just, I don't know, like it's very strange and odd what's been happening. It's like a whole nother world has been happening outside of my knowledge. No one's ever communicated opportunities of business to me. Nobody's ever communicated someone had an interest in you. No one's ever communicated, this person's trying to contact you. No one ever has said, hey, I'm a publicist, or, I want to, I want to help you out. And I didn't know anyone in the area that I was living in. I didn't know anything about entertainment or anything like that. And it was very isolating, and I had a lot of criticism and a lot of humiliation that was going on. And I didn't know why people were repeating things that I had said, where that was very strange. I didn't know what was going on. And come to find out, my family had been, doing things behind the scenes to take material from me. Um, and I don't know what their pathology has been or what their pathology is. Um, there's been a lot of just circulating around me. I have no clue. Just a lot of things circulating around me. People, saying, I've just heard rumors of different opportunities, and I never received any of those opportunities electronically or verbally. None of them ever came to me. I have no clue what was offered, what was not offered, what has expired. I have no clue. No one has called me. No one has emailed me. If they were sending emails out, they were sending the wrong emails out. If they were sending phone calls out, they were sending the wrong phone calls out. I don't, my family has gone as far as to take, intimate images of me, and I don't know if those images are being circulated. I don't know what's going on, because they know that they can contact my mother. They know that they could contact my brother. They know that they could contact, you know, my father, if they were not able to come in contact with me or get in contact with me, but they didn't make the effort. They did everything except for that. They purposely, and I don't know who else they were working with or what else was going on, but people are under the assumption that I just didn't care about my opportunities, and that's not true. Something was going on where people were being lied to who have valuable time and who actually saw something within me, and they have been lied to. They have not been given my correct emails. They have not been given my correct phone numbers. They have not been talking to the right people. I have no representative. I don't have a publicist. I don't have anyone who speaks on my behalf or who is authorized to speak on my behalf. So whatever has been going on, I apologize to the professionals who actually saw something in me and wanted to do something in regards to my talents, because you've been lied to. You've been taken on an entire ride. I don't know if somebody's been impersonating as a representative of mine. I have no representative. I have no publicist. I have no secretary. And the family that I do communicate with has no recollection of anything that's been going on. They don't know anything. My immediate family, they don't know anything of what's been going on. I'm not the type of person where, oh, she doesn't talk in person, or, she doesn't really meet with people. That's a lie. That's a total lie. You've been jerked around. I don't know who you've talked to or who you've reached out to, but it's not me. And it damn for sure isn't anybody who represents me. And people, so to project out there, you know I just threw my opportunities or my career away is a lie. My emails have been compromised. Somebody has been I even had the reason why my other Instagram accounts, I had to shut them down, is because so much spam and so many things were happening on my Instagram accounts. I just made a completely new one. No one's hit my inbox in a professional manner. Nobody, none of that. I've sent, I don't know if there's a sophisticated technology that's been used, but I've even sent emails out to certain places and never got a response. I am aware that there is someone who, and most likely my family or an accomplice of my family, there is someone who makes phone calls to individuals that I'm supposed to be doing business with, that I'm unaware of, that I never authorized. And I don't know if they're saying that they represent me or what, but I think this person or company or entity or whatever has been denying opportunities on my behalf. There's been a lot of trickery. And people think, oh, she's just completely oblivious and she can't get anything together. That's not true. I have not been contacted. And there's been people who have been trying to contact me and they've been lied to. Their time has been wasted, their money has been wasted. What they thought was going to happen or the vision that they had for their project has been completely derailed because people have lied to them. People have lied to them. And it's been done out of spite and jealousy. So if anyone wants to throw the narrative out there that I just didn't care about my career and I just took it for granted that I was talented, but I was not in love with what I was doing. When I was writing my lyrics in real time, I was rediscovering my passion after I hadn't written lyrics or a poem in like 20 years. I was rediscovering my passion. I was locked out of my purpose and my passion, you know, alchemically, you know, and due to that, uh, it translated into a lack of fulfillment, you know. So I never just blown off any opportunity. I never received an opportunity. I never received an invitation. I never received letters, communication, nothing. I think something weird has been going on with my mail system where letters that were supposed to get to me never came into fruition. Um they never got to me. I get my bills, I get those statements, but I've never gotten any letters of any kind from any company, person, nothing. I've never gotten any invitations. I've never gotten any, nothing. I haven't heard anything. And people are just running around with stories, assuming that, oh, she's not interested in her career or she's no. When I was creating in real time for the first time in years because of everything that had happened to me. Like it was like a floodgate burst open in me, and all of this creativity was just do 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 coming out. And it had been years since I was able to do anything like that. Like years. So it's 1:11 on the clock. Yeah, it just was, it's just been astounding, but I do apologize because whoever has been trying to contact me, if you've been speaking to someone on my behalf, I haven't authorized that person. If you've been receiving emails from an email account stating that it's me or my response, that's not me. That's not me. If you've received text messages or DMs, um, I've only sent like three people, a DM ever, and I think that was on a completely different social media account. But if you've been receiving constant text messages or any phone calls or anybody saying I represent this person, it's not me. If you've sent mail to me to try to contact me for something, it's not me. Like I never received it. I've never received anything. Like, there has been a very sophisticated operation to lock me out of communication with those who see my talent and want to capitalize off of my abilities. And I apologize because I don't have an agent, a publicist. I don't really know anyone in the greater Los Angeles area other than my family, and I don't even know if they live there anymore. But I know that they have had a hand in whatever this circus has been. But it's been very unfair. However, I'm extremely grateful because I have a lot of new perspectives. I have a lot of new perspectives. A lot of the people who, and then there's been people who claim that they know me and this and this and that. Prior to me moving to the greater Los Angeles area, I hadn't spoke to my family in over a year. There's only one person that I met in Los Angeles, and you know, uh, that person was in the military and or in the reserves, and that was the only person that I really met and talked to. And eventually the issues had gotten so thick, I distanced myself from that person, not because that person did anything wrong, the one who was in the reserves, but because I wanted to protect the integrity of the friendship, and I had to stop communicating with that person. Because I felt like that person would be compromised to go against me, and I didn't want my heart to be further broken because of that. Because that's another thing that I've suspected that's been going on. A lot of people have been compromised or bribed or told that they would get certain things if they acted in a hostile way or did certain things towards me. And it's just like, I don't know where any of this is coming from. I don't know how any of this came about. Sorry, brief intermission. And we're back. I don't know how any of this came about. I just know that I haven't been communicating with anyone at all, and I need help. And nobody has come to help me with that communication. I've had people compromise phone numbers, emails. I've had people compromise. I've just had so much has happened, but I've been hearing and picking up on things through the grapevine, and I don't know who to contact. I have no publicist. I have no manager. I have none. I have no representative. I have nothing like that. And a lot of people just assume like, oh, I just threw my career away. No, there was a sophisticated operation that went on around me where people were able to compromise, my digital devices. They were able to invade my privacy. I have no clue who has done this, so I don't know, but they've done things to block communication for me, and I apologize to the professionals that have been trying to reach out to me because I have no clue who you are. I don't even know what's been going on. All I know is I heard that I was supposed to have and this is the reason why I originally had left, my previous employment. I had heard that there was supposed to be communication, coming towards me, and it wasn't anything that I heard verbally. It was things that I kind of had to pick up on with context clues, and I was anticipating that communication, and it never happened. There was even financial compensation that was supposed to come towards me that no one ever communicated. I haven't heard anything from any law officials, any court systems. I think I've had court dates come up, and no one has communicated with me via mail, via phone call. I haven't had anyone send me any notices. So I have not had any communication. If it was judicial, or if it was professional, or if it was in the way of someone sending me something financial, I haven't not received anything. It's not that I'm not in love with my craft. Because of the invasion of privacy, I have almost had to stop. I've been backed into a corner and have had to stop creating because I cannot control the content that is taken from me and put underneath someone's name versus my own content. There's only one chunk of content that I have actually copyrighted, and I didn't have the funds to copyright the rest of my content that I was creating, but I don't know what's been going on. I don't know. I just know that when I create things or when I'm interested in things, it's underneath a close, watchful eye, and it's like all of my ideas, everything that I do. And let me also say this: I have no problem with creating for other people. I just want to be compensated for it. I have no problem. I understand. I know recently, like in the media, there's been people who have called out, obviously we had the SAG writer strike, and, there were very important issues, heavy issues that had to be um, talked about and negotiated when it comes to writers who are part of the Screen Actors Guild. I definitely understand that. But when it comes, whether it was writings that I did that were drafts for screenplays, or writings that I did that were songs, or writings that I did that were uh, character analysis, or tapes that I had as character analysis for online, I've never gotten any communication. And when it comes to songwriting, I'm fully aware that when you write for somebody else, you're not going to get 100% of your publishing for that. And I would agree with that because the way my mind works is if I'm writing for somebody else, then I am looking for them to perform what I'm creating, right? And the way my mind works is if I write a song for someone, I want to remix it and write 7 different remixes and 7 different, you know, possibilities and 7 different arrangements of that song for that person so I can be able to negotiate, a 25 to 35%, profit off of my song because the producer has to take 50% and the songwriter, the artist, has to take a percentage as well. And the producer has to pay their engineers, they have to pay different ones. So I am not ignorant to the fact that if you create something and it ends up being something that an artist would want to, work with. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna get 100% of that. That's ridiculous. Like I'm not the one on stage performing it. But what I can do to earn above that 25% is I can add instrumentals to my artwork. I can add beats to my artwork. I can change the arrangement so when the artist decides to sing something live, I already have how they can sing it live. I have a pop version, I have an electric version, I have a country version, I have an R&B version, I got a rap version, I got a chopped and screwed version. That's just how my mind works when it comes to putting in the work for that kind of art. With songwriting, unfortunately, in the middle of me rediscovering my passion, a lot of what I was doing um, a lot of what I was doing from my family's perspective was kind of being circulated and touted as if it was theirs. And that's just not true. I have drafts that I wrote for somebody else for screenplays, and for television pilot. I have songs that I have written for other people, and those other people, unfortunately, I don't think they will be able to um, utilize some of the things that I've written if um if 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 somebody else has already tried to capitalize off of them. I've intentionally written things that were supposed to go to other people. I'm under the impression that I was supposed to have an employer of some sort, within a segment of the industry. And unfortunately, that employer who had high hopes for me and who really wanted to collaborate and work with me, the material that I created for them and produced for them might be compromised, might be out there. And I intentionally did that for the employer. And then there's other artists that I've written things for, and I don't know if they were able to fully take advantage of what I've written in a positive way. I don't even know if they know that I've written certain things that were intended for them, and through my employment, had I received my employment, I would have been able to pitch certain things to the artist that I intended it for to see if they wanted it or not. And unfortunately, a lot of my writings have been exposed. And when you write for other people, or when you're just creating in general, privacy is important because until you copyright what you've written, that takes the power away from the artist and it puts you in a position to where, okay, now the thing that you've created, even though you've created it for somebody else has already gotten a sneak preview of it. So they can take the same idea or the same concept and they can remix it, or they could just take it all together for themselves. And that's not fair to the people that I intended my work for. Like and there's people who are anticipating other pieces of work to come from me. And because of a lack of privacy that I've had due to all of everything of mine being compromised. I've been reluctant to create. It's caused me to have anxiety. It's caused me to have frustration. It's caused me to lose money. It's caused me to lose credibility. It has caused me to take a hit in my reputation professionally, as if I was just doing things for a check. And when you're in the arts, passion is everything. But what happens when your passion is stunted and stopped because you're not able to create your passion in private? So that you can present it to the world, so that you can say, this is something. It's not easy doing content creation and coming up with an idea and being a content creator. I'm not saying that that's easy at all. It's not impossible, but I'm not saying it's not easy. But it's really difficult when you're writing original screenplays, or when you're creating and writing songs, or when you're composing musical beats, just by sound, or when you're looking at different things that inspire you and you're not able to do it in private because somebody is actively taking your material or watching you or taking notes on what you're interested in or doing, and then trying to sell it up from underneath you. And it's like, wait a minute, this is not your original content. You did not do this. You can't just sell it from underneath me. And then that's one. And then two, technically, even though I haven't signed a contract, this material belongs to a whole nother group of people. I've written songs for two groups of people that are entities unto themselves, and I don't know if they're going to be able to. I don't know if they were if what I don't know what's going to come into fruition of that. It's like, yes, you stole from me, but you also stole from very important people. Like, you ruined what they were trying to gain out of this experience of allowing me to flourish in my creativity. I created things for these people that would have generated a profit return, and you stole from me, therefore you stole from them. There are songs and there are things that I have written that other people are supposed to be profiting, making money off of, collaborating with me, creating off of. And it's like everything has stopped because I've had a renegade militia of people, that have been compiled of my family and whoever their, um, you know, whoever their associates have been, that have literally done everything in their power and have done everything under the sun, which a lot of everything that they've done has been completely illegal, to stop me from creating, because everything that I create has been taken. And really, when you took from me, you took from these people who were, requesting of me or commissioning me to do art on their behalf. They've I've written songs for these people. I've written material for these people. I didn't have to be the artist that performed them. They can do whatever they want, but the material I wrote for these people, for these people, and they're not able to utilize it. They commissioned an artist to do art on their behalf, and for them to use it in whichever way that they wanted to. Compensation was never going to be an issue. These people are able to compensate. That was never going to be an issue. The issue was, you took these people's art that they commissioned me to create, and you started selling it off to whoever you sold it to. And now that another issue is, the people who have purchased or who have just been exposed maliciously to original artwork that belongs to a whole nother entity of individuals, those people have possibly purchased stolen goods, like stolen art. Like I literally have a group of people. I have two sets of people that I have created art for. Okay? I never intended for that art to be exposed to the public. When you are commissioned as an artist of any type to create art on the behalf of someone else, those people don't want that art exposed to the public. That art was never supposed to be compromised. It was always supposed to be something that I created and was able to present to those people. Um, I didn't even have money to buy some of the material and the equipment that I needed, and it wasn't because the people who commissioned me to create the art did not provide a stipend. The stipend that they provided me with was stolen fraudulently. And it's like that's unprofessional. Like that really is whack. Like you took some like you took from these people. You took from these people. Whatever kind of contract, whatever I had going on, I never signed anything physically, but you took opportunities from me by blocking communication off from me, and then you took from people who I was commissioned to create art for. And then other people that I have created art for, it's like you took the art that I created for them and you exposed it to other people who would be interested in using the art, other artists. Like you took that, and you don't only owe me, but you owe these people. The copyright to my art is supposed to go to these people, and in return they are supposed to give me 25% if they like what I've created for them, and a maximum of maybe 35% because there's some things that I have added harmonies and melodies to, and different arrangements that I'm able to do. Like you didn't just take from me, you took from a whole industry. You took from that, and not only that, but you worked with an accomplice or whoever, and you defamed me. You criticized me harshly. There's nobody has come up to me and really said it. No, actually I take that back. The only thing that people have come up to me about is concerning a rumor that I was soliciting myself online for sexual acts. And I've never done that before. I'm not against anyone who does sex work. It is a life path all unto its own. I believe if you're doing it in a way that empowers you, more power to you. But there are a lot of people who are in that line of business who are oppressed. But there is a way to do that line of business and be completely empowered and liberated within oneself. However, in my situation, it was a lie, salacious lies that could have put my life in danger, because statistics even shows, even if you're in a safe environment and you're not being pressured or forced to do certain things, that line of work, like with many other lines of work, comes with hazards. And sometimes the hazards are in the form of human beings who don't know how to control themselves. And so I've had some very odd, strange, scary experiences with people approaching me, um, from fake pages and accounts that I don't know who created. I'm suspecting, I'm alleging that my family did this, but they created these pages that tried to form this narrative that I was living a lifestyle that I never engaged in my entire life. And that also looks bad to potential employers. Thank you, Archangel Gabriel. That also looks bad to potential employers. So you've lied to professional people within this industry. about who I am, about what I do, about how I operate. You know, you've invaded my privacy to put footage out there of some sort to make people, you know, see me in a different light. And to be honest with you, it's like people can see me in whatever light they want to, but when someone is influenced to see someone in a negative light, and when someone is influenced by someone's conversation that is biased against that person, then, and when they have the credibility of being um, a relative of that person, knowing that person since they were young, people take what you have to say as face value. And, you know, you have to give accountability to that. You owe a lot of people apologies because you've lied, you've wasted people's time, you've ruined people's art commission. And now I'm in a position where I want to create new art. I want to do things. I want to have concepts. And it's like I'm completely backlogged into a corner because everything that I create, it's being watched. It's been watched. It's been compromised. It's been stolen. And you didn't just steal from me, you stole from the people who were commissioning me to create the art. You did things energetically that made me almost unravel. And if it wasn't for God, the Holy Spirit, my angels, and my ancestors, meditation and prayer, where would I be? Because you just thought it was a game. You just thought it was a game, and you had to find humor in it. There was a lot of things that were just compromised, a lot of things that happened that should have never happened. And I'm just grateful to God that I'm here, that I'm in my right mind with all the defamation and the weird compromise invasion of privacy that's been going on. I'm just thankful to God that I'm here, I'm in my right mind, and I didn't harm myself, because most people, or the average person, would do or commit some sort of self-harm. And I haven't been in that mind space during this ordeal. But I have had trauma because of this ordeal that I'm working through and that I'm healing. Um, I've had moments where I've been extremely unhinged, and those moments, I believe, have been captured on camera without my consent. And I don't know if those unhinged moments have gone out before me to be shown to potential, business opportunities that probably could have collapsed because of that. I'm not sure. Because reputation is a lot when it comes to any line of business. Doesn't matter if it's McDonald's or Miramax. It doesn't matter. Any line of business. So when it comes down to it, it's like, I apologize, because people who have wanted to work with me professionally, wanted to collab with me, I don't know what you've experienced. I don't know what you've encountered. I don't know if people have been acting on my behalf, trying to represent me. I don't know if anyone has been contacting you on my behalf. I have not received not one email, not one business opportunity, not one communication. I have not received anything. I don't have anyone who is my representatives. I don't have relatives who represent me. I've never authorized anyone to sign off on anything on my behalf, to speak on my behalf. No one has any kind of conservatorship, power of attorney, nothing like that. I have a fully able-bodied mother who is cognitive, in her right mind. Praise be to Jesus. Praise be to the Most High. Um, I have, I have a father. Both of my parents are fully employed. God forbid if there was anything wrong with me. I have two able bodied, employed parents who would have uh, conservatorship or who would have power of attorney over me if something were to happen. My parents uh, would have that. There would be nobody else that would have that kind of power. There would be nobody else who would be able to sign off on anything. Not a grandparent, not an uncle, not an aunt, not a cousin, not a sibling, none of that. None of that. I have two able bodied parents who are in their right mind, who go to work every single day and who pay their taxes. And one of my parents I actively live with, and the other one I actively speak to on the phone. I even have a grandfather um who lives out of my state who I talk to quite frequently. I talk to him moderately, I'll say that. And he doesn't have any, paperwork on me, but if God forbid, you know, he would be like the third person who would, have anything, but he doesn't even have anything, over me, because there's no reason for me to have anyone to be over my finances. I'm fully cognitive. You know, I'm able to work, I'm able to create, I'm able to do, but when you have fraud going on, which the definition of fraud is someone who has, impersonated you or impersonated someone who can speak on your behalf and you have no idea who it is, that's what basically what I'm dealing with here. I don't know. I don't know. Um, I just know that there's a lot of strange things that have been happening, and I just, um, I've been, just disappointed with how things were handled. But, with that being said, you live and you learn. Like I said, I haven't heard anything from any law officials or it with this scenario, and because it's so vague and so shadowy, it's very hard